Hi and welcome to this video where I'll be explaining how I captured these images on location. I'll explain how and why I took these images with a critique of each of the images too. The location I've chosen is the magnificent Pistol Raider waterfall in North Wales, the highest single drop waterfall in Wales, which also means it beats any in England. The size of this waterfall meant that I could use wide angle to capture the whole of the falls, plus use zoom to actually go into the details of the waterfall itself. Along with a number of tips, I hope that these images will help inspire you on location and guide you to improve your photography. This on location video is a slightly different format than my normal location videos due to the noise created by the waterfall. I'll explain the settings, equipment and image composition more clearly than if it had been captured on location, which would have given excessive background noise. I'll include a gallery of images at the end of this video, so now let's get on with our first composition. But before we do, remember to switch off image stabilization. We don't want it to track the water flow and blur the rest of the image. Let's first take a look at the complete waterfall. All waterfalls always deserve to be taken in the context of the overall landscape. So I'm fortunate at Pistol Raider to have a bridge that the railings are really in the way of the photograph. So you'll see here the way that I've set up the tripod. This allows the camera to reach over the railings. For the first image, I went portrait to capture the height of the waterfall, at half a second to capture the motion of the water at f11. So I really like this image, but I felt that the bottom detracted from the overall waterfall in the image. So I slightly moved position to the right, and by keeping the same exposure settings and moving slightly to the right, I was able to capture this image. I really like this image of Pistol Raider, the water falling over the cliff top between the trees, coming through the central feature, the love heart, and then cascading down below us. Shot at 10mm on the camera, this really allows the waterfall to dissect the centre of the image. I then climbed the bank on the right of the waterfall to capture the water as it fell into the pool at the bottom. But one of the things I really noticed here was the reflection in the fallen log in the pool. So it was time to put the polarizing filter on. Magnetic filters are awesome, by the way. Rotation of the polarizing filter allows me to control the glare and reflection from the surrounding rocks and the log. I used the polarizing filter to control the glare on the next two images, both shot at 0.6 of a second at f10 in portrait mode of the bottom section of the falls. The first image, we can see that there's no reflection cut out at all. There's reflection on the rocks, there's a lot of glare on the surface of the water, so the polarizer at this angle is doing very little. However, in the next image, through rotation, we managed to cut out all the glare and reflection. You can see the detail now, and you can also see how the grass colours and the moss colours have warmed up as well as we've cut out all the reflection. These two images really show the impact, and I really prefer the colours of the second one with the polarizing filter really bringing out the colours. I'm not 100% happy with the composition of this one though, so I will be back soon to capture more images. So remember to follow me on Vero, where you'll be able to see images that I capture in the future as well. I'll put my Vero link in the description below. One of the coolest features at Pistol Raider is the love heart feature, where the water flows through in the middle of the falls. This feature is created as the water flows down from the top falls, through out of the pool, through the hole, down into the bottom pool. And from the right angle, it looks just like a love heart. It's really important when on location to really look at the details within the waterfalls, scope out the landscape and identify these parts of the landscape, the waterfall, that really make a different image. On location, I took a series of images in portrait mode to really enhance the feature between about half a second and 5 seconds, and I really love this one that came out at 5 seconds. I really like how the longer exposure creates a misty effect from the top falls, and then the water coming through the heart falls like a tear into the bottom cascade. This image prompted me to zoom in on the heart as close as I could and do an even longer 8-second exposure to really create a misty effect on the water. I love how we can see the shape of the hearts now, with the water just coming in the background, pouring through the centre of the heart and then out at the bottom as well, surrounded by the slate grey of the cliffs and the green grass growing on the cliff face. And the way that this is composed really draws the eye through the heart, but then back into the heart of the image. And now it was time to go to my final location, a little bit of a scramble up to the left-hand side of the waterfall. I went up this bank to give me a great view of the fall of the top section of the waterfall as it fell into the pool behind the rocks. The spray really shows up with an exposure time of half a second at f9 and just a little bit of underexposing to compensate for the amount of white in the waterfall lines. This is the image that was captured. The waterfall is framed nicely by the grass on each side of the cliffs, and my initial reaction was that the branch on the top left hand corner was a distraction, but actually I think the ad gives it a little bit more context to the actual final image. And then the water disappears out of sight behind the rocks at the bottom. And for my final composition, I really wanted to capture the essence of the waterfall as it fell into the pool at the top, framing and creating a mystical atmosphere to the waterfall. So for this, I zoomed in just on the detail of the fall itself, capturing the image at 4 seconds at f22 with a little bit of overexposure this time. For shooting waterfalls, I often use manual mode and the histogram to get the exposure correct. And I'd highly recommend that you'd use this approach too. And this is our final image before we go into the gallery in just 1 second. I think you'll agree this has created an almost mystical effect as the water falls from the top of the image and goes down behind the rock, creating a mist-like effect on the image. Before we go into the gallery, thank you very much for your time in watching this video. I hope you found it useful. Please remember to like and subscribe, and here's the gallery coming up.